Hello, welcome to the last lesson of Step 3, Paying Off Debt, a part of the process of the Winning with Money course. This last lesson, we're just focusing on a small niche part of the debt management strategies, and that's focusing on two different conflicting, often argued, debated methods of Snowball versus Avalanche. Both of them are great. Both of them have their flaws, of course, and we're going to break that down in today's lesson. So, benefits of both methods, first of all. If you choose one, you just don't know which one to choose, and you're just like, I don't know that. Some people say Snowball, some people say Avalanche. I could see the differences, I understand, but I just don't know which one to pick. Just pick one and go with it, because that's the best decision. Is just go ahead and making a strategy to paying off your debt, rather than just trying to be indecisive and not picking. So benefits of both methods. You're on a plan. This is what I was just saying, that no matter what, you have started a plan and you have started the budgeting process. Both of them use budgeting process. You have to budget before you can understand either debt snowball or debt avalanche method. So both of them, you're on a plan. That's good. You're starting your budgeting process. You're making larger payments and you're paying off debt quicker. All very, very good, solid advantages to just picking one and just going with it. Figure out the rest later. But let's break down the differences too, because if you do want to know a little bit more, it is important to understand the two different methods and what might actually work for you or your family in your own financial situations. So again, both methods, Snowball or Avalanche, require a budget. Debt Snowball is probably the most popular one, and I think it's the most popular because it's the easiest one to understand, because Snowball, the Debt Snowball method, it disregards interest rates. You're not looking at interest rates, you're just looking at the amount owed. So in the lesson 4, we talked about listing debts from whatever area you want to, get all your debts, organize them. The Debt Snowball method, you are listing them lowest balance to the highest balance. Make minimum payments on all debts, so you have them in a list from your lowest amount owed credit to the highest. You start making minimum payments to all of those debts. Any additional money in your budget, any additional money that you have, you can start making extra additional payments towards the smallest debt first. And this method is very popular with any Ramsey Solutions followers, because Dave Ramsey preaches this method. It's both methods are extremely valid. And we're going to talk about the differences here in a second. But Debt Snowball, I think it's a little bit easier for beginners or anybody that has no idea where to get started. I think Debt Snowball might be the better option for you if you just have no idea about finances. You never were taught money techniques. Most of us weren't. And you just need a place to start. I think Debt Snowball is a great method to follow in case you fall into that category. The other method, the debt avalanche method, takes a little more thought, not much, but a little bit more thought and a little bit more math. Debt avalanche, it disregards the balances that you owe, and it just focuses on the interest rates. So debt avalanche, you're listing your debts from the highest interest rate that you owe to the lowest interest rate. So you're just focusing on the interest rates, because that's how much money extra you have to pay. And you want the lowest interest rate, right? So the debt avalanche method is focusing on the highest interest rate. And some people might even argue that you do the largest balance, highest interest rate thing first. That's fine. There's many ways you can kind of split this up too. And I've seen some people hybrid the snowball and avalanche method together. But these are just the two basic schools of paying off debt. So debt avalanche, disregard balance, focus on interest, minimum payments on all other debts. Any additional money that you earn in your budget or save in your budget goes to paying off the highest interest rate loan first. So where do these match up? Which one is the best method? There isn't a winner. It all depends on your financial situation and your goals. I give Debt Snowball the win for the psychological effect for beginners, especially. Debt Snowball is the best method for psychological wins, because you're paying off small loans. You get to check those boxes when you're paying off your debt. Boom, I'm done with that debt. I move on to the next one. I think the psychological win, the behavioral economic part of Debt Snowball is great. If you do not need that, Debt Avalanche might be the better way for you. Debt Avalanche, you get more of the logical mathematical win. If you put both of them up, there's studies on this we can look up that someone had, you know, 5 debts they owed, 5 lines, 5 lines of credit for the Snowball or the Avalanche. They had them lined up, and mathematically, if they made the same payments over time, similar loans, all that, similar income, and nothing else has changed, Avalanche won most of the time. But that was taking out human emotion. So that Snowball would win if you threw in human emotion, because we like to get the small wins. We see ourselves making progress, where that Avalanche, you might not be making much progress. So it all depends on which one you feel like you can do well with in your own financial lives. So I have a scenario for you, or put your own scenario in. There's several hundreds of debt calculators out there. I put this one because I've used it several times, especially when I was a teacher. You can Google debt calculator payoff. You can either practice with the simulated table that I put here, or with the debts that you owe on. There are all types of debt calculators, so don't feel like you have to use this one around with the timetable. You can play around with the timetable with how much you want to pay per loan and the timetable in which you can see yourself becoming debt free. You can, all these different calculators, you can change the time frame and the amount that you want to put in, the amount extra that you might want to add on top of that, et cetera, et cetera. And you can put, some of them I've seen, you can put 20 different lines of credit in. Hopefully we don't have that many loans out, but for some people that might be possible. That might be a realization for them. Okay, so this is the last lesson for the winning with money, step 3, paying off debt process. The next lessons in the video series, we'll be focusing on step 4, and that's going to be expanding our savings and emergency funds. I'm excited about this one because we're starting to look more into wealth building, and I can't wait to start talking about that. See you at the next series.